No, fellas, you're actually seeing this firsthand. And shout out to one of my supporters on Facebook. He directed me to this right here. A group of stepdads get together to show that being a stepdad is cool, getting rid of all stigmas. First off, let me call cap on that. All stigmas? Well, let Uncle JD prove you wrong on that because while they claiming being a stepdad is cool and they getting rid of all the stigmas, let's be upfront and real. Call ball a ball and a strike. No, they're not. No, they're not. And when I seen this on Facebook, one thing that caught my attention: they're not smiling and being proudful in this photo. It's like they just got together and just took a photo and that's it. But what I find a trip is you got all these fools on social media trying to convince men to be step dummies. And yes, here's the irony of it all. This was posted by a woman who is a single mother. Surprise, surprise. Let Uncle JD straighten this shit out fast. Being a step dummy is a choice. A choice that said man has to decide for himself. Not the single mothers, not society, not social media, not news articles, none of that. And if they think this is how they're going to convince men to be stepfathers, then they really smoking on something. Oh my God. Shoot, even the comments underneath this video are completely ratioed. Nobody agrees with this goddamn statement, with the exception of one. A 36-year-old woman was saying, "Oh, but I had a stepfather in my life and he works really well." Well, congratulations, ma'am. You're the exception to the rule. And furthermore, you are one success story. Can everybody say the same? No, they can't. So basically, ma'am, what you're trying to do is trying to put your stepdaddy achievements and trying to make it seem like, being a stepdaddy is a big achievement for everybody. It doesn't work that way. No, it doesn't. And I've seen stories from men who were stepfathers to children that were raised by stepfathers that ain't worth shit. But they claim that they're getting rid of all stigmas. How are you going to get rid of all the stigmas when a vast majority of those stigmas is beyond their control? For men that were stepdads that ended up finding out the hard way that being a stepdad isn't as cool as this retarded fuck ass news article claim to to stepdads that ended up being abusers. And this is what it's all about. They trying to use their success and try to paint this broad brush, thinking that being a stepfather, being a stepdad is is such is such a big achievement. When in reality, being a stepdad is a thankless job. And it's comical how you got all these outside sources trying to convince men to be something when the vast majority of them do not. Shoot, you got men that were told that they were stepfathers, but it didn't work out. From the kids from from their disobedient stepkids who they couldn't discipline, and their mom allowed them to do whatever the fuck they want, to men who stepped up but didn't get the respect they deserve. One example, and yes, I believe I still got that video on my channel. You had this man who stepped up, raised his stepdaughter really well until it was time for the wedding. And I believe I believe for some of y'all remember this, right? Stepfather was going to pay for the wedding, and then he found out that not only he was completely xed out of any plan, any plans for his stepdaughter's wedding, but then he soon found out that the biological father of his stepdaughter was going to walk her down the aisle. If I do have it on this channel, I'll post it. I'll post it in the comments section. So basically, his stepdaughter his stepdaughter wanted her biological father to walk down the aisle. None of none of his family members were invited to the wedding. They didn't even care enough to add the type of food he would like at the event. No, none of the people the stepfather knew were invited to the wedding. And through all of this, he was expected to pay for her stepdaughter's wedding until he completely removed his funds, and rightfully so. So he's expected to pay for the wedding, but have no say in any of that shit. But being a stepdad is cool, and we getting rid of all stigmas. Yeah, this was a single mom who made this post. I even hearing that they getting down to the point to where they trying to shame men into being stepfathers, and which that shit doesn't work. Just ask these panda bears on YouTube who constantly saying, "Oh, you're not a real man unless you're taking care of another man's kid." And who the fuck died and made these retarded fuck ass panda bears the voice of men, or what a man's supposed to be? Man, they don't sit there, their women ass kissing asses down. Oh, nobody ain't listening to that bullshit. And what's more, You got stepfathers that that are straight up abusive. They're abusive. They're abusive to the woman they with and her kids. Let's not forget about those. Let's not forget about those weak ass punks as well. That and keep this in mind, fellas. Everything I'm saying are all the stigmas of a stepfather, of a stepdad. Stigmas they claim they're getting rid of, in which they ain't getting rid of shit. And I talked to people who was raised by a stepdad, and believe me, the stories I heard, the stories I heard completely caused this claim bullshit. From kids being abusive by their stepdads, to kids being molested by their stepdads, to kids being out there committing crimes and acts. I dude, I heard it all. Shoot, you had one woman who had her stepfather locked up for trying to pimp her out at at, at such a young age. And yes, she was a minor at the time. As I said, there's a whole lot of stigmas these stepdads is not going to get rid of. And no, going going for a group photo is not going to change that. Then you got the step then you got stepdads that are so desperate, so fucking desperate to be a father that they will go out of their way to try to claim their stepchildren as their own. But here's the problem. Some of these step some but here's the problem. Their stepkids ain't acknowledging them as the father at all. And for some who wonder why their stepkids turn right back around and tell them, "You're not my daddy," I'm going to give you two reasons. The first reason is because your stepchild don't know you like that. To them, you're still a stranger. And if you do things to piss them off, they're gonna forever look at you as a stranger more than a dad that stepped up. That's for damn sure. But the second reason is a hard one. The second reason that your stepkids ain't looking at you as a stepdad is a very hard one. Because your stepkids actually know who their biological father is. And if the and if they know who their biological fathers are, do you actually think do you actually think that you are going to come in and take their father's place? Get the fuck out of here. Out the gate. It's even worse. It's even worse if their biological father is active. And suppose their stepchild goes to their father and tell them that, oh, my stepdaddy wants me to call him daddy. You think their biological father is gonna stand for that shit? Oh my god. Now your ass is up shit creek without a paddle. because now because you're trying to force yourself in your stepchild's life by claiming that you're their dad, and then they turned around and told their biological father, guess what? You just started a conflict. And nine times out of ten, they don't even know why their biological father and the woman that they with are not together. And no, it's not all the time. It's because she is widowed, or he was abusive, or he was a deadbeat. Keep in mind, you got single mothers by choices out there. You got single mothers that try so hard to keep the father away from the children, away from their kids. But things get in the way, and guess what? The father has custody rights. So no, if they still have a connect, if your stepchild still have a connection with their biological father, you are not taking that. You are not taking their biological father's place. And this is the reason why you hear those kids say, "You're not my daddy." And what's more, there's a whole. What's more, their moms is not going to let you discipline them either. Out the gate. And that's another hurdle, another stigma that's not going to be easy, that you won't easily get rid of. But you know what I find ironic? You got people on social media trying to compare how it's like in the here and now to how it was like 20, 30, 40, 20, 30, 40 years ago. Oh, it worked out during the 70s, 80s, 90s, and early 2000s. It could work out now. Well, before you can even make that statement, answer this question. Is it is the situations the same? It's the situations now, it's the exact same situation as it was then. Because as I remember during the 80s, 90s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and early 2000s, the reason why the reason why you had men that had no problem being stepdads is because you had single mothers during back then that fell onto hard times. Yes, for some of y'all, your parent, your mother, your grandmother, your great grandmother, and for some, your great great grandmother fell into hard times. They needed a helping hand. This is where the term hamburger helper comes from. They need a helping. They needed a helping hand. Whether they were widowed, they were in abu- they, they were they were in an abusive marriage, or the dad didn't care. That's the reason why during that time frame you had men. Yeah, they had men that were more than willing to step up and being stepdads. Now compare that to the now. You got women out here that just can't keep their legs closed. They're bouncing from one relationship to another relationship to another relationship, multiple kids, multiple men. And after the party and the thrill is gone, now they want someone to come in and clean up their mess. Not because they fell into hard times, it's because they made poor fucking decisions. And now expects for a man to come in, pick up the pieces, and fix what's broken. What's more, they want men who are completely single and childless to come in and take care of another man's seed. But let those roles be reversed. Let the roles be reversed. And he's a single father with children. She's single and childless. You think she would go for him? Hell no. Not a chance. But if a woman who is single and childless doesn't want to deal with single fathers out here, what makes them think that a man who is single and childless want to deal with someone else's mess? Not at all. And the fact that they will and the fact that they and the fact that you have single mothers who allowed who managed to get to where they are because of their bad decisions, their bad choices, they now want someone to come in and clean up after them. No. This is the reason, and the fact that the men that did stepped up became stepfathers only to end up getting shitted on, and they leaving the relationship like never again. And they think this right here is going to convince men to become single fathers, to settle for single fathers. That is a fucking dream. That is wishful thinking. And as Uncle JD also stated, wishful thinking grants no wishes. Oh no. It's not like the 70s, 80s, 90s, and early 2000s here. They didn't fall on hard times. They made poor decisions and expect for a man to step up and pick up the pieces. This is the reason why these men are refusing to be stepfathers. And no, I don't blame them one bit. And by the end of the day, it's up to that said man if he wants to or not. And if he don't, oh well. You're not gonna shame him. You're not gonna shame him. You're not gonna convince them otherwise. It's their decision and their decision alone. Not these single mothers, not these news outlets, not social media, not these woke ass groups. Nobody can make that decision but him. Off the gate. And I said what I had to say. I'm done and I'm out this bitch. Later.